Joining me now for more on Texas to discuss is Democratic Texas Representative Julie Johnson. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us on this really devastating story that we continue to follow. So let me just first ask you about your thoughts, what you're hearing at this point. Tell us what you can from your perspective.
Well, it's just an unbelievable tragedy, and it's so heartbreaking. Anytime you have the loss of life, it's always a very sad event. But when it involves so many children and so many kids who are just on the upstart of their life, it's even just that more painful for everyone. Especially, I'm a mama, I have two boys, and my heart just aches for the families. And so, obviously, recovery efforts. Those are first and foremost and top of mind for everyone here in Texas.
Sure. And as we're watching our screens right now, President Trump and the First Lady visiting the state after what we saw with these flash floods, praising FEMA's response. Let's take a listen to that.
FEMA has deployed multiple emergency response units, and FEMA has been really headed by some very good people. We have some good people running FEMA. It's about time, right? We get some good ones. They failed us in North Carolina, but when we got in on January 20th, they fixed it up in no time.
Now, I understand you're demanding for an immediate oversight hearing on the federal response to these floods. And if that pushes through, what do you hope comes of that?
Well, I think one of the things that we always have in government is we have a responsibility to review and see where government worked and government failed. It took FEMA 72 hours. It took Kristi Noem over 3 days to approve FEMA going in. And those 3 days were critical time periods to try to find people alive. And we want to know why that happened. They also laid off thousands of people at FEMA. It's my understanding that the meteorologists that were responsible for coordinating the communications between the National Weather Service and local authorities, those positions were eliminated and laid off and were unfilled. And we just want to find out what happened. And then additionally, there were a lot of grants that had been requested by this community for sirens and emergency help that had been denied at the state level by Greg Abbott and Republicans there. And we just want to have a good look at what happened and how did these things break down, and just to ensure that we can close those gaps and make sure that they don't happen again. We're about to head into hurricane season here in Texas, and we're not a stranger to that and those storms and how deadly and impactful they can be. And we just want to make sure that all the pieces are in play at the Weather Service, at NOAA and FEMA and everywhere else, given all the ridiculous and harmful cuts that the Trump administration has put to that administration.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that have questions, and those have been raised through this week. And also taking a look at what FEMA has with primary roles in something like this. You take a look at the agencies, the Army Corps of Engineers to remove debris. FEMA oversees that. Health and Human Services for mortuary support and crisis counseling, and also the EPA for water testing. Those are things, moving forward. But to your point, what happened in those first few days? And we'll hopefully get some answers there.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.